Hey, everybody. It is Lanissa and Kate, our resident physician liaison extraordinaire, and we are coming back to you with another episode of What's Hot and What's Not for physician liaisons and healthcare sales reps. And today we are talking about, and I am so excited about this one, drum roll please, mindset, because mindset matters. And
totally,
what is hot is a motivated mindset. And what we mean by a motivated mindset is a mindset where circumstances can be crazy and chaotic and they can be going on all around you. But in a motivated mindset, you're not letting the circumstances direct and dictate your mindset. Your mindset is staying steady. And you're keeping focused and you're keeping positive and you're staying focused on the goals at hand and what needs to be done and what needs to be directed. And you're continuing to move forward. And that is a lot easier said than done. And there are a few tactics that I like to use to stay in a motivated mindset because it gets really easy to get out of that really quickly, especially if you're spending too much time on social media, if you're watching all the Twitter fights that go back and forth. So one of the things that I like to do, which sounds cheesy and it sounds woo-woo, but I'm telling you, mindset matters. So what I like to do to stay in a positive mindset is I like to read books that help me with my mindset or personal development. There's several podcasts that I listen to that really help me, but making sure that I am filling my mind with things that will actually help me and not harm me. Our minds are so powerful and they really do direct us. What we think in our minds is where we will ultimately go in our behaviors. And Kate, I know you have lots of thoughts around this as well. So I would love to hear from you on this too.
I love your tip for sure. Like, what are you filling your mind with? Is it depressing garbage or is it uplifting, inspirational, self-improvement, that kind of thing? And some of that can get a little too much, right? You can't always be self-improving, reading books on that. But like, that motivation that you talk about, you have to think about, where are you getting it from? Are you getting your motivation from the directives handed down by your company? Are you getting your motivation from external factors, or is it coming from who you want to be? Who do you want to show up as, not only in this job, but in life, right?
Right.
If you've worked for any period of time, you know that jobs are kind of temporary, right? Like, yeah, there's a chance absolutely. You may have a new one or a new company or a new role or go out on your own. And in all of those things, who are you going to be? Who are you going to show up as?
Right.
And I that's really the key. And how do you stay there? Because like you said, it's so hard to not let the winds blowing around you kind of move your ship around. And the winds are going to blow, and there's going to be the circumstances, and there's going to be world events that happen, like we saw with 2020, things that are crazy. But how do you respond to that versus react to that? And how do you maintain the captain of your ship rather than letting those external factors hijack your steering wheel and just take you on a wild ride? I love your tip of listening to uplifting things or reading uplifting things. For me, I love, if you're a field rep, you're in the car a lot, I love to listen to a good podcast. Sometimes I like to just turn on some music from my teenage years that I know all the words to.
Right. Yeah.
And just blast it. Right.
Exactly. 2-minute dance party. That's one of the things that I've done before. Yeah. There's like a big win in an office. We've done that with our teams too, like just 2-minute dance party. So
absolutely.
Cheesy, totally works.
Totally works. Yeah. And I like to even listen to podcasts that have nothing to do with what I'm doing that day. Like I'm not listening to a sales podcast per se, but maybe I'm listening to one centered on my faith or one centered on how to be a better mom or something like that. So it just makes you feel better as a person. And that translates. It really does translate when you show up in the office. It comes through. It's easy to tell a genuinely good, motivated person from one who is just trying to hit that paycheck, right? And they're going to just or one who's just completely derailed by everything that's going on in the world. And if you can be that steady person for yourself, it's interesting. Sometimes you kind of become that steady person for your office.
Right.
Yeah. Like they're looking to you to be like, it's all going to be okay, right?
Yeah.
You can say, yes, here's how. But if you don't have that motivated mindset, it's going to be hard for you to be the steady partner for your doctors as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So if the motivated mindset is what's hot, then what's not hot is what we call a manic mindset. And the manic mindset is the mindset that follows the whim of every single thing that happens in the world, all the chaos, all the Twitter fights. Maybe your only motivation is external. So maybe your only motivation is that comp plan. And what happens when we have a really hard time like 2020 and the comp plans dry up or the job dries up? And what are you going to do? Where are you going to go? What are you going to rely on? And back to whatever we believe, our behaviors follow. So if the manic mindset is not hot, what do you do to get out of the manic mindset, Kate?
Right? Okay, not for real, but yeah. I think take a minute to like sit with that, because I've worked a lot of years in my professional career at getting to that point where I'm confident in my motivated mindset that no matter what happens from a company level, boss level, peer level, industry level, world level, at least I knew who I was and I knew how I wanted to, navigate that. But there were times that maybe I had a colleague or a supervisor who was more in that manic mindset. And if I let their pinballing around of everything is a huge fire that has to be put out and everything is, the world is falling, the sky is falling, affect me, I felt stress and anxiety.
Right.
And
absolutely.
Yeah. And it wasn't
contagious.
It is. And it wasn't easy to go throughout the day and before I knew it, I was stressing about things that didn't matter. Like the fires that were so big to some in my day-to-day execution of what I was responsible for and what I could impact, they're actually like not even sparks, So it's, and I found myself, if I return back to my motivated mindset, you can actually steady that other storm, because they need that. They need another steady of the storm. And so getting out of it, I think, is just take a minute to acknowledge how you feel. If you feel stressed and anxious and worried to see you get a phone call from somebody or a voicemail left from someone, there's a reason for that. And it's probably because you're not steering your ship. You've given up the captainship to something else. And then of course you're just like, well, where are we going? Where's the ship going? But if you're driving it, you know that even through the storms or even through the everybody's fire drill, you're going to make it through. And you're going to make it through in a way that when you lay your head down on the pillow at night, you can say, I did the best job that I could and I controlled what I could. And the rest of it, honestly, you got to just let it go. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Good point. One of the ways that I like to try to navigate out of a manic mindset too is just recognizing the behavior. If I am fearful, if I'm avoiding something, if I'm avoiding a conversation, if I'm avoiding going into a particular office, if I am believing something about an office that, oh, they don't like me or they don't like my product, that's usually a little signal or an alert to my brain that maybe I'm believing something that's not quite right. Maybe I'm buying into a manic mindset and maybe I need to rethink this. So what is the deeper issue going on? And I'll tell you a quick example of that. One time I had someone tell me, oh, don't bother going to this office. It is like Fort Knox. You are never, ever going to get in there. And so I avoided going into that office for a little while. I was scared to go in that office, but I also knew that this office was really, really, really high potential. And so I finally worked up the courage to go in this office. And when I finally went in, guess what happened? Any ideas?
Well, they clearly didn't like shoot you or anything because you're
No,
here. So it
no,
couldn't have been that bad.
I'm still here to tell the story. So they roll out the red carpet for me. They were so nice. I was terrified I was never going to meet the doctor. I immediately got back, had this great meeting with the doctor. She was amazing. She very quickly transitioned from her long-term referring partner that she had to our practice. She became one of our long-term, very loyal referring partners. And I put off going in there for a very long time because I chose to buy into a lie. Yeah. So where I'm going with that is if you're starting to be fearful or put off something or believe they don't like me or something negative, that is kind of your first clue in your brain that maybe I'm believing a lie, maybe I'm in a manic mindset. Start to identify that, pay attention to that, and then think about, what do I need to do to shift that? How can I alter that? And how you can alter that is start thinking, maybe that wasn't really true. Maybe I need to check into that. Maybe I need to investigate that further. Maybe that person I thought was mean to me, maybe they were just having a bad day.
Maybe they're not there anymore.
Yeah, maybe they're not there anymore. Yes. Maybe I thought they didn't like me, but maybe they just have a more reserved personality than I do. And so begin to shift that mindset and then begin to behave differently, act yourself into a way of feeling, begin to behave differently. And that is some of the ways and some of the strategies that I use to kind of shift my manic mindset back to a more motivated mindset. So absolutely. That is what is hot today, is a motivated mindset, continuing to I cannot speak today, continuing to steer your ship regardless of the chaos that's going on all around you. And I love this mindset topic because it is really the foundation for everything we do, not just in business, but in our lives. So maybe someday we'll come back with a whole mindset series, but that'd be good. Until next time, if you want to learn more, you can check us out at lb.solutions, and we will see you later. Adios.